Hi, my name's Kevin. I'm the atypical cripple. I wanted to really quick here go over the COVID statistics for Washington State and point out that, here, let me get my Jedi arm up here. This is not the the pandemic you're looking for. Um, it just, the numbers do not bear this out. We got a percentage of death at 1.4%. How is this any different than, let's say, is this in addition to people dying of other things? I mean, this is not. I don't think this is something that warrants such draconian lockdowns. And I'm a shut in. I have cerebral palsy. I live on disability payments from the government. I do quite well in regards to I'm not. Shoot. Hit that back button. I mean, look, as long as I don't go anywhere and do anything, I'm fine. And I want to point out that this is not a good way to live. It's the way I have to live because I can't afford really to go out and do anything. But holding people to stay home because stay home keep other people alive. Ugh. And with the death rate of 1.4%, I don't know. I had swine flu back in the day, and the doctors, the emergency staff, they were very professional, but I didn't get a confirmed. They just kind of looked at you and said, well, you got a flu. It seems respiratory. It seems to follow the under the guidelines that we have. They said you probably have swine flu. Okay. And I was hospitalized for 3 days. In that time, I was, I received support, oxygen, an anticoagulant, which I later asked not to have. But I was so weak that they'd poke me in the stomach every 24 hours for that one. And then I asked about it. Oh, it's an anticoagulant. And you're like, okay, can I not take that? You'll have to sign a waiver. Fine, whatever. I used to get flu shots. I don't anymore. In my own personal experience, whenever I received flu shots over, a 10-year period of time, and every year the flu got worse. It just did. It seemed to be counter to what. So when I pushed back on the flu shot and asked the doctors, well, what's the efficacy percentage we're looking at? They said less than 20%. I said, no, thank you. And because of that, I'm sure in my file I'm a bit of a troublemaker because I take responsibility for my health. I have at times adjusted my diet. I have, I try to exercise whatever I can. Um, and I'm actually better off because of the activity in things rather than take a pill just, you know, I gotta be honest with you. I'd taken a number of medications for my cerebral palsy, and over a 6 year period, I tried so many different meds, it really thrashed my liver. So when it comes to this, it's like, let's look up here, which Douglas County, 120 hospitalizations for a population of 42,000, and there are 18 deaths. How is that normal? Not just normal death rate. Let's look at, the big 3 years. Snohomish County, 8, population just under a million, number of cases 27,000, number of hospitalizations over that time 1,800, the number of deaths under 500. So, does COVID exacerbate problems you already have? Yes. Yes, probably. So, the question is this. If I want to show you this. 90% of the deaths are because of ours 60 and over. Well, I mean, what does that tell you? That tells you that when you get later on in years, you got to start taking care of yourself. You got to take some personal initiative. You can't just, I'm just going to take a pill for X, Y, or Z. You don't know what the long-term significance of that is. If you're just going to trust whatever the doctor pumps into you, then guess what? There's a whole history of the medical industry doing what's convenient for them, accepting guidelines on face value and just doing what they're told. And I've learned over time not to trust that. And the Lord's been very gracious with me as far as keeping my body going. I mean, my liver was thrashed. I had a doctor call me up and say, "Are you using this substance?" I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, well, there's nothing I can do." And then a little while later, I had a caregiver that recommended drinking a lot of tea over an extended period of time. It flushed up my liver. When I told her what I had done, in full disclosure, I said, "You're not going to like it." And she's like, "Well, tell me what you did." And I told her, "I just drink black tea." "Oh, what kind of tea?" "Lipton black tea." And she's like, "You're right, I didn't like that." And she got up in a huff and left. We cannot discount egoic or egocentric ideas or motives when it comes to these situations. You have to be able to look for yourself at what's going on and say, I don't agree with it. And then you have to figure out how you're going to comply. I will wear a mask in places where I feel I'm at risk. And here's the other thing. The assumption is that this whole mask leaving or this whole mask thing is predicated on the fact that you may be sick. Fine. Why don't we just test everyone at one period of time instead of vaccinating everyone? Why don't we just say, hey guys, let's get everyone tested, come on down. We'll test everyone. And then be like, oh, you tested positive. Didn't we find out not too long ago that there are a lot of false positives? So we don't even have an adequate method of testing, or at least some methods are better than others. So, all I'm trying to say is this whole thing adds up to, are we being manipulated? And I'm not saying it's a Washington State thing. I'm not saying it's a WHO thing. I'm just saying at some level, are we looking, are people maybe giving their best guess, maybe trying to, think big, but really when it comes down to it, we have to look at it and say, is this worth the cost? I say no. I say, let's go back to normal. Let's unravel this whole thing. Ask people, hey, you got to go to work. Go to work. Because right now it's between the people that have essential and non-essential jobs. And I'm not comfortable calling people unessential. I don't work for a living. This is really something that makes me nervous. Because if we don't have a good economy, I will not be able to live. Because if everyone's trying to eke out whatever they have on their own and there's no excess income, I don't survive. So, yeah, my survival is predicated on people's economic welfare. And I just want to let you know I'm praying for you guys, and I hope it works out. But I think there are things at play here that, anyway, getting back to the statistics, here's the thing. 90% are over 60. That's sad. But, like the old Game of Thrones saying, Vala Morghulis, all men must die. And that is a fact. And I'm sorry to say that I think we need to be compassionate, but also realistic. If our economy works on supply and demand, not you must buy, anyway, what I'm trying to make is this. It's based on free association, on things you want to buy versus, and the things we have to buy, we have lots of choices, but that only remains true if we have a good economy. And that is not something that the government can plan. It can redistribute. It can, but it can't just gin up demand. So, Kevin, atypical cripple. See you on the next bounce.